If you stink, you get your quarterback pick. If he turns out to be half decent, all right, maybe we got a future here in Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go worst to first in this league. It's very tough.
I would personally say no.
Hello, welcome to Football X's and O's. We'll be talking about the Cleveland Browns' amazing rookie class, Spencer Fano, Concepcion, Denzel, Boston, and more. I'm Ryan Steele, alongside me is NFL expert David Scott. David, the Cleveland Browns, Andrew Berry and company, they had a really good draft.
Yeah, they kind of nailed it this year. I would put them up at the top, maybe even the best draft class of 2026. And I think they got a really exciting new look offense that we can take a look at.
All right, let's get things started. Obviously, the 26th NFL draft has come to a close. So we'll be talking about the rookie class, Spencer Fano in the early part of the draft, drafting him out of Utah. Concepcion, who can be a good underneath wide receiver, but can also, you don't know what you're getting every single time, and it can be a good thing. And also Denzel, Boston. Talk to me about the early part and their decision to take Spencer Fano.
Yeah, Fano, I think, pretty much came out of necessity. Their offensive line was totally destroyed once free agency came. Every single player was a free agent at one point. I don't know how many of them they brought back, but at that point, you had to bring in an offensive lineman in the draft, and Spencer Fano is a great one to do it. There were concerns with him about his arm length. Turns out he got measured pretty unfairly at the combine. Once he got to his pro day, looked like the arm length was solid. So when you take out that one concern, he's a really well-rounded prospect. You think he's going to be able to stick at tackle, but if you need to slide him inside, you're fine with that as well. But they really needed someone to anchor down this offensive line because they lost just so much talent on it. And I think Fano at that number 9 spot was the perfect spot to start.
Oh, I think it was offensive line. It was a big need for Cleveland, but then also the wide receiver position. I feel like that's always been a position group that they need a lot of help in. And they're sitting at the 24th pick, and Casey is still on the board, and they grab him. That was a great move by Todd Monken, who's the new head coach for them, to find someone who could be a gadget player, but also can do a lot more in the offense. Talk to me about Casey and his skill set.
Yeah, Casey, I really love his speed. I think that's one of my favorite things about him. He's a really speedy guy. I think he's pretty shifty, but yeah, he is a little inconsistent at times. You're not really sure. More of a boom or bust kind of player, but I think at that spot in the first round, sure, we'll take a shot on him, and then to still be able to go and get Denzel Boston in the second round, you've got to be thrilled about that if you're in the Browns front office or if you're a Browns fan. But Concepcion, I think, is going to be a good number 2 or number 3 wide receiver on this offense. I think it's going to flip back and forth whether it's Concepcion or Boston, or you maybe consider Finn in that number 2 guy. But I think getting him there at 24, letting him develop and seeing what skill set you want to use from in his offense, whether it's underneath or using his speed down deep, I think he's going to fit in really well in this offense.
I think Fannin might be the number 1 guy because the volume that he got last year was a good amount in that offense. Because obviously the quarterbacks, we'll talk about it later in the show, is very inconsistent in that department. But I think KC can be that number 2 guy in this offense. Look, I know Jerry Jeudy's a veteran, but I feel like his speed is top notch. I feel like he if you do a redraft in a couple years from now, he's definitely going before 24. And then Denzel Boston in the red zone, I mean, he can high point, he can make really good acrobatic catches. So I really do at the same time, I feel like KC can get the volume. And I think Todd Monken said it the other day that it could be matchup focused. Like, we know what the weaknesses are on the defense, and we know what Casey can do. If you want a slant route 12 yards, he can take it, and he can go even more, the distance. So I feel like that can be a good thing with Casey in this offense. And I think Todd Monken, I think he might see a little bit more of like a Zay Flowers type of player in Casey Concepcion.
Yeah, Zay Flowers, is in a wide receiver 1 role, but when you look at him, he's not like a traditional wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. Casey kind of fits that kind of similar skill set where he can go short and pick up those yards after the catch, but every once in a while, sure, he'll bang off a deep play and really surprise you. But I think him and Boston are going to complement each other very well because when Casey needs to do that underneath, Boston can go do that high point down the field, or you can switch it back and forth. I think the 2 of them are going to rotate really well. And then you got Jeudy and Fannin that you also have to compete with.
Yeah, we're not used to the Cleveland Browns having weapons, and I think they finally have it. Now it's about the quarterback position. It's not looking good, obviously. I feel like that's something that they're 1 position away. We really don't say that on offense for the Cleveland Browns. They have a lot of needs, but I feel like they got the wide receiver position okay at the moment. Offensive line, it's the quarterback position. And obviously, I feel like Deshaun Watson might get the reins for the upcoming season. What do you make of the quarterback room right now?
I mean, if it was up to me, I would put Shedeur Sanders back out there. It's not like he showed us anything spectacular, but at the same time, Watson is on the last year of his just awful contract. Yeah. Regardless of everything off the field, it doesn't seem like he's that good of a leader. And obviously, as we've seen from the last few times he was on the football field, he's not that good at quarterback anymore. So I don't think you're going to see anything special out of him. you might as well see if Shedeur Sanders has the possibility to become the guy for you. And then if not, you're in a quarterback-heavy draft in 2027. You're a quarterback away right now. You fill that position, then you go into 27 feeling pretty good. But I think there's no reason to put Watson out there right now. It's not like he's a pro-ready, like competitive quarterback. It's not like you really need a competitive quarterback right now. Throw Sanders back into the fire. Let him develop more. And maybe, if anything, you're just kind of showing him off for a team that might want to trade for him as a back off.
Yeah, as much as we, applaud, the wide receiver room at the moment, there's still the Cleveland Browns. Like the owner was basically saying that Deshaun Watson, he was actually talking trash about Deshaun Watson, and he's still on the roster. So I think it makes no sense that he's still on the roster. Just cut your losses. It was a terrible contract. I agree. I feel like, you go young at the position, and if it doesn't work out, you'll have a high pick next year in a pretty much loaded quarterback class. So I feel at the same time, though, make it a quarterback competition. I just feel if Deshaun Watson gets the quarterback one to start the season, he's not going to finish it for the rest of the campaign.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we know he's not going to look good out there. Sure, he's got a pretty solid cast, and we'll take a look at what that cast could look like in a minute. But at the same time, he's just not good. He hasn't been on the field in a year at this point now. When he was on the field, he was really bad. That's all it is. And then there's all the other stuff that surrounds Deshaun Watson. So if I was running a team, if I was a head coach, I certainly would not want him out there. Maybe there's some calls coming in from the GM's office or the ownership that are saying to put him out there. Yeah. But if it were up to me, this would be a Shedeur Sanders year. Put him out there the whole year. Just let him do the thing. And then if you stink, you get your quarterback pick. If he turns out to be half decent, all right, maybe we got a future here in Cleveland.
Yeah, and we haven't even talked about the injuries that he suffered too, so he might not look good. He wasn't even like a true athletic player, and now after these injuries, I don't think it's going to be looking great for him in the pocket. All right, show us the offense of what the Cleveland Browns should look like in the 2026 season.
All right, so here's what I'm looking at from looking at the Browns roster, looking at the moves that they've made, and who was previously on their roster. So take a look at how this offense is going to shape up. So when you look at your outside, your number one receiver, I do believe it's still going to be Jerry Jeudy. He's been on the team for a while. You kind of earned the right to be the number one wide receiver. And he's a solid enough player where I believe he'll retain that. Maybe that changes throughout the season, but he's been there long enough where he's earned the right to be that number one receiver. We got Quinshon Judkins, who did get hurt at the end of the year, but, I mean, in the time that he was starting, he looked great.
Very capable.
Really capable. Steal in the second round. I think in our slot receiver role, I think I would see this more as Concepcion. Yeah. That ability to go underneath those short routes, those yards after the catch, and then going up the field. I see him more in that. And then in our other, XZ, whatever you want to call it, we see Boston going for some contested catches. And then, let's not forget about our tight end, Mr. Harold Fannin over here.
There you go.
Wow, that's some poor handwriting. So, you look at this, regardless of who's in our quarterback spot, obviously, quarterback position is crucial, and it's going to be vital to how they perform this year. But look at this offense. I mean, I'm pretty thrilled.
Not too bad.
You're looking at a guy who turned into probably a top 10 tight end in Harold Fannin. Quinshon Judkins, when healthy, I believe was a top 15 running back. Yeah. You could say even better. Jeudy has been serviceable for his entire career. I know he's not the upper echelon of wide receiver ones, but he is a capable, serviceable veteran wide receiver who is going to be capable of just holding down the fort while the other guys develop. And then Concepcion and Boston, these are your draft picks. These are your guys that you need to develop. But if you hit on one of them, if you hit on both of them,
that'd be amazing.
But if one of these guys is a hit, I mean, you got a capable offense. Like, we got, Jeudy going up the field, Concepcion coming across, Boston on a curl, the Fannin going out, and then, Judkins doing whatever the hell he wants. I mean, you can do a lot with this.
I think it's basically on the offensive line and the quarterback,
Yeah, and now we got Fano coming in, where maybe he'll play right tackle.
Yeah.
Whoever the hell is going to play quarterback. Who knows?
Toss up, honestly.
Could be Arch Manning.
Yeah, you never know.
But I think we have a very capable supporting cast, a supporting cast that could get you close to the playoffs or into the playoffs. However, Can Shedeur Sanders / Deshaun Watson get you there? I would personally say no. I don't think either one of those quarterbacks is going to get the job done. I think you're at a good baseline.
There you go.
We continue to build off this baseline because we know the Browns' defense is good, and they're going to keep them competitive in a lot of games. The offense is getting closer, not quite there. We get to 27, we get in a new quarterback, we draft one, maybe we trade for one, sign for one, whatever, whoever knows what happens after this season. We're getting there.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go worst to first in this league. It's very tough. So if they can just be mediocre, 17th, 18th in the league, that'd be an improvement from last year. There was a lot of tough moments in the offense. And I got to say, I'm a little bit more down on Jeudy than you. He had such a down year last year. I feel like effort played a huge role in that as well. He was dropping passes. So if he can play better this year, I would agree. I think this can be a better offense, a much better offense than last year. I think it's up to, obviously, the quarterback, like you said, but Jeudy, man, I think he's got to wake up. I mean, he's probably one more year in Cleveland, and then he's gone. I really trust Monken in terms of the long-term outlook. I feel like it might be a little too tough for him this year, especially with the two quarterbacks that he has.
Yeah, but when you look at the future of the Browns, it's been a while since you've been feeling good. You've got to think back to like second-year Baker Mayfield was the last time you were feeling pretty good about the Browns. So personally, when I look at this, regardless of the quarterback situation, they got a good defense. They're starting to build up the offense. We'll figure out the quarterbacks eventually. I think next year, year after, within the next 2 years, we're going to see the Browns fighting for the playoffs.
Now, do you think one of these two guys, can they win Offensive Rookie of the Year? That's a question for you.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I would say, which one would I say?
My pick would probably be Casey Concepcion. I feel like the volume is going to go, I think, to Casey compared to Boston. I still think Boston gets you probably 45, 50 catches this year. KC, I think he can have the 70, 75 if he wants to. I think he can overtake Jeudy, being the number one-ish, two, because I feel like Fannin is still going to get his volume. But KC, I would look out for him in terms of that.
Yeah, well, he was their first-round pick, so he'll probably have a leg up on Boston from the start. But maybe Boston surprises in camp.
You never know.
We don't know. We'll see how his contested catchability. I think he's going to be their red zone weapon. But then Fannin's there, too. I love Fannin.
Yeah,
I wish we could do a whole episode on Fannin. But, yeah, regardless, I think they got two great rookies in here. And let's not forget about Fano, the rookie, as well. I think they're going to really help revitalize this team.
No, I totally agree. I think KC's got the speed. Boston, I don't think his speed is perfect or amazing, but I still think he can separate. I think there's some analytics that say he's not as bad as what people think in terms of separating. So they're off to a good start in terms of the rebuilding department.
Yeah, they're getting close.
All right, that's going to wrap things up here at Football X's and O's. You can watch us every Monday. We also have other offseason content. Please like and subscribe. Let us know in the comments what you make of the Cleveland Browns rookie draft class.